everyone, we're from Group 4 and we're presenting Metabolism of Carbohydrates, Lipids, and Proteins during Starvation. With an adaptation from the movie of Life of Pi. Once upon a time, the Prime Minister of India declared emergency in their country. Pi and his father decided to sell their zoo. And the whole family had to migrate from India to Canada. During the transportation of their 200 animals to North America, their ship encountered a storm and sank. Luckily, Pi managed to escape in a small lifeboat with a tiger named Richard Parker. Pi and his tiger were stranded for 27 days without any source of food. Do you know what happens in your body during starvation? Let's take a look on it. During the first 24 hours, when the blood glucose level decreases, the glycogen stored in the muscles and liver is converted into glucose molecules in a process called glycogenolysis. In glycogenolysis, the enzymes glycogen phosphorylase and alpha-1,6-glycosidase will phosphorylate and break glycogen into glucose 1-phosphate. Later, phosphoglucomutase converts glucose 1-phosphate to glucose 6-phosphate. Finally, glucose 6-phosphatase hydrolyzes glucose 6-phosphate to yield free glucose. Once glucose molecules are yielded, they enter the bloodstream for energy conversion. But remember, glycogen storage can only supply energy for 24 hours. After that, amino acids and fatty acids are metabolized as sources of energy. It's been more than 24 hours since Pi had been stranded. His body needed energy, but glycogen wasn't enough. When glycogen level decreases, the body starts to use non-carbohydrate sources from fats and proteins by gluconeogenesis. Fats are made of lipid molecules that consist of glycerol and 3 fatty acid subunits. These molecules are stored in adipose tissue and are separated by lipase into glycerol and fatty acids. The glycerol will be converted into dihydroacetone phosphate and can readily be used for glycolysis to generate ATP. Fatty acids will be oxidized to form fatty acyl-CoA, and that will generate organic phosphate and AMP. Fatty acyl-CoA will move into mitochondria with the help of a protein shuttle to a process known as beta oxidation, which molecules will be activated by acyl-CoA. The product condenses with oxaloacetate to form citrate and can be used to fuel Krebs cycle to generate more ATP. Proteins will undergo proteolysis to form the basic amino acids. These amino acids will be used as intermediates for gluconeogenesis, glycolysis, Krebs cycle via transamination. What is transamination? Simply, it is the transfer of amino acids from one molecule to another, forming new amino acid. This process produces toxic nitrogen, which needs to be eliminated by transamination, deamination, and urea formation. Pi's liver had to cope with all these processes at once. Alanine, which is a common amino acid, will form pyruvate by alanine transferase, and this will release glutamate. Pyruvate can then be used either to form glucose or enter the Krebs cycle to generate ATP. The glutamate formed will lose its amino group by deamination with the help of glutamate dehydrogenase, and eventually, nitrogen is eliminated by the urea cycle. Pi would have been fine to survive longer with dependence on his fat tissues and protein available in his body, but dehydration may be fatal since all reactions need water as the universal biosolvent. Furthermore, dehydration leads to higher body temperature and may disrupt how proteins and cells interact with one another. And that's why humans can only survive on average of 72 hours without water. To summarize it all, in the first 24 hours of starvation, the body goes through glycogenolysis to break down glycogen into glucose. After 24 hours, the body starts to use sources other than glycogen to generate glucose. These sources are lipids and proteins. Glycogen is converted to glucose and enters Krebs cycle, then goes to electron transport chain. Lipids are converted to glycerol and fatty acids. Glycerol is converted to dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is in turn converted to pyruvate. Fatty acids are converted into acetyl-CoA and enter Krebs cycle. Proteins are broken down to amino acids and enter Krebs cycle or are converted first to pyruvate. These molecules yield ATP. Thanks to metabolism, Pi was able to survive.